Let's talk about Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Allie Barefoot, and I know a lot of you guys, including myself, have asked Robert Kraft, Elliot Wolf, please fire this man because we want to see progress. We want to see changes. But we're really going to break down here on this show whether or not that's capable of firing in this season or changing in the offseason. On the back half of the show, I have 3 replacements that could possibly take over as the OC if Robert Kraft decides not to keep Alex Van Pelt around. Because this has been an ongoing thing for the last couple of seasons. You know, Patriots fans were highly spoiled the last decade watching Tom Brady be the GOAT, and now we're having to struggle going through this rebuild. But even if you look at the last 3 years here, this is a vast difference as how well the offense has done through the first 11 games. The points are really what I'm looking at here. The Patriots are struggling to put up points on the board, averaging less than 20 points a game. The yards, even though having a phenomenal top draft pick in Drake Maye, we had the fewest yards through the first 11 games, and I think that does go hand in hand with not having an offensive line nor any top receivers, but I digress. So overall, I'm not breaking any news here. The offense is pretty bad, and we walked into this season knowing that. We knew that Drake Maye was going to be a fantastic addition, but we also knew that we weren't building him with the best resources around to be successful. So we've gotten to see Drake Maye's success firsthand while dealing with a very bad offensive line and receiver core. So when we do hand him great resources, it should be good to go. But what happens if you give him those great resources, but he still doesn't have the best offensive coordinator? We always knew that when AVP was hired to Gerard Mayo's staff, we weren't getting some innovative play caller. We weren't going to be wowed every single game and just blown away by what he's trying to produce on the field. He's a very X's and O type of guy. And the main thing was that he worked with Jacoby Brissett in Cleveland, and we knew Jacoby Brissett was going to be the starting quarterback for the first half of the season. We just didn't know how many games. So I want to go back to week 12 here because this is when a lot of fans really started tweeting at me and commenting, Allie, when are we going to fire AVP? I wish I had those answers, but I definitely had the same head scratches that you guys did against the loss in Miami. Look at this play on your screen, okay? Looks like a very typical handoff to Ramondre Stevenson, but the scenario was it was 3rd and 16. Look how close we are to the red zone. That is our end zone past that 20-yard line. And you decide to run on a 3rd and 16 on one of the first driving plays that we have that can possibly put you in the end zone, which ended up being a 1-touchdown game for the Patriots on offense. When he handed it off to Ramondre Stevenson, which you guys can guess, he ran about 4 yards. I was extremely pissed off. But then, when the Patriots do decide to score, that was on defense. Christian Gonzalez's scoop and score early in the fourth quarter. They decided to run a successful 2-point conversion. Let me tell you, I loved this play. It was a nice flick to Kayshon Boutte, and then a nice reverse to Ramondre Stevenson. But why he decided to expose a very successful trick play when you're already down 16 points on a 2-point conversion in the middle of the fourth quarter is beyond me. Sometimes I just don't know what's going through Alex Van Pelt's head that makes me question whether he's the right man for the job. So my question for you guys here is, should New England fire AVP? I know a lot of you guys are going to put F for fire. Some may put K for keep, but I'll tell you a little controversial statement here in just a moment. You're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break. Be sure to stick around because you guys are going to be really intrigued to what I have to say. So go ahead and comment down below. All right, a little preface here. I might say something a little bit crazy. And I know some of you guys may not agree with me, and I don't even agree with myself 100% on this take, but I really do think that Alex Van Pelt should stick around. And I thought about this because, believe me, I have been on the fire AVP train for a while. But then I really started to look at 2 reasons why he may stick around. Now, let me preface this as well. I'm not going to be mad if he gets fired. I'm really not. But there are some pros to keeping him. Number one, you have to think that AVP really doesn't have anything to work with. Your 5 offensive linemen, none of them, except for Mike and Winu, would be starters in any other franchise in this league. You may have Pop Douglas, maybe Kendrick Bourne as a starter wide receiver. Everybody else, no. The only starter that you would have that is consistent throughout the league is Drake Maye. So that is what he's working on. That is who he's developing. That's who he's focusing with. So he is trying his best, but here's why I do think he will stick around is because of Drake Maye's development. We knew that Drake Maye came to the NFL with great talent. That's why we drafted him third. But you have to give a little bit of credit to the offensive coordinator that has helped develop Drake Maye because that's why they brought him in. They have a good relationship too. So if you've got a player like Drake Maye that does respect AVP, wants AVP around, then guess what? He's not going anywhere. And Drake Maye has actually credited Alex Van Pelt to having some success this season in terms of Drake Maye's individual stats. And, some wins throughout there. He's been huge, just a confidence booster for a quarterback. You love playing for an offensive coordinator like AVP. He's positive and will also at the same time coach you hard. I want to talk about that sentence right there. You love playing for an OC like AVP. If Drake Maye loves him, guess what? It doesn't matter what we think. If Robert Kraft sits down with Drake Maye at the end of the season and says, Maye, be honest, you're a face of our franchise. Do you like the offensive coordinator that we have paired you with? And he says yes, suck it up because he's not going anywhere. And we do know that if you do end up bringing in another OC, you could get a little bit of a Mac Jones situation. You don't want to expose Drake Maye talents to too many offensive coordinators here because guess what? Every OC has a different playing style. So that means Drake Maye is going to start to get a little bit befuddled with numerous different playing styles being thrown at him when he's just trying to be who he is. AVP is letting him be who he is. And we all know the one thing we can agree on is the only bright spot we've had for the offense is Drake Maye. So those are two reasons why I do think Alex Van Pelt may have some reasoning to stick around in New England. Once again, if he gets fired, will I cry? Absolutely not. But I will be intrigued. So here's my next question. Do we think AVP will be the OC next year? This is in hopes that we will pick up some resources like an offensive lineman or a wide receiver to help out Drake Maye. But do we think he'll stick around? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I mean, we can't go through this video without talking at least about some offensive coordinator replacements because we also don't know if he's going to be here next year. So I thought I'd finally break down Josh McDaniels, the one OC that you guys have been badgering me about in the comments section. So let's break down whether or not he would be a good fit back in New England. He was the Patriots personnel off and on from 2001 to 2021. So he has been in the New England Patriots system for over 20 years, off and on, as a graduate assistant, offensive coordinator. But we do know his most recent job was being fired as the head coach from the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's okay because I think we all realize he's not a good head coach. Offensive coordinator? Good offensive coordinator. Sometimes you have to experiment and find out what you're good at and what you're not good at. And we do know that he's good at winning championships. Granted, he had Tom Brady to work with, and Tom Brady also proved in Tampa Bay that it's him that won those championships, not Bill Belichick, not Josh McDaniels, but they definitely had a little bit of help. So I do think when you're looking at a player like Josh McDaniels, if Kraft is really serious about parting ways with AVP, it's at least worth a call to McDaniels, say, hey, old friend, I know it's been 20 years you've worked in this system. Any chance you want to work with Drake Maye? I'm sure most people would say yes. But then there's also an offense that's doing pretty well this season, the Minnesota Vikings. And if any offensive coordinator can make Sam Darnold look good, I can only imagine what they could do working with Drake Maye. Wes Phillips, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings right now, it's his second season as OC with the Vikings. He's primarily been a tight ends coach, which is music to my ears, and Hunter Henry's and Austin Hooper's as well. And you also have to look at the Minnesota Vikings right now. They were undefeated for about the first 5-6 games in the season this year, and they do still have a top 10 offense when it comes to scoring. That's what the Patriots have struggled with, is putting points on the board. That and just getting first downs. And he's had a lot of success as a tight ends coach. So when you do look at what his resume has in New England, well, he can work with Drake Maye and he can work with their connections on that tight ends because we all know Hunter Henry would be a starter anywhere else in the NFL. And what I was also talking with Vikings Now host Patrick Seatman is that right now, Wes isn't calling plays for the Vikings. So if he wants that new responsibility, that may be a reason why he would end up leaving Minnesota to come to New England to have a new role and really just start kind of over with a new rookie quarterback, with a new offense, a rebuild. And once again, you make Sam Darnold look good, you can make anybody look good. I've got one more offensive coordinator replacement to get to, but I want to make sure you guys are nice and cozy watching the Patriots in the last 5 games of the NFL season. I know it's here. The end of the NFL season is already here, which means it's almost the holiday season, and anybody in your family that is a Patriots fan would look fantastic in this crew neck. I am currently sending this to my boyfriend right now to put it on our Christmas list for myself because this looks super soft. And if you guys love deals like I do, I have been scouring the internet on Black Friday, and I will be for Cyber Monday. Well, I'm going to get you a deal right now. 40% off this crew neck by using promo code chatsports.com/Patriots crew neck. This link is going to take you to this deal. I think it would be perfect on yourself. It would definitely be perfect in Foxborough. I know it's cold there because it's cold in Texas. If it's cold down here, I'm sure it's a blizzard up there. So if you guys want this crew neck, it can be yours. Just go to chatsports.com/Patriots crew neck. The third one is going to be a little bit controversial. And don't comment saying she doesn't know ball, because I know this sounds crazy because he's not actually up for an offensive coordinator position right now. He has a job, and it's better than an OC. It's a head coach. We're talking about Brian Daboll. Of course, he's the head coach for the Giants. He currently has a record of 2-9, and rumors are saying they're just trying to tank. But he tried to trade up in the 2024 NFL draft for Drake Maye. We got to see in that preseason Hard Knocks that he really liked Drake Maye when they were going through those quarterback interviews. Well, maybe if he ends up getting fired as the head coach because of that 2-9 record and Daniel Jones parting ways with the team, then maybe he would want to be an OC and work with somebody like Drake Maye and then possibly build his way up. And if Jerod Mayo doesn't work out, well, there you go. He was also the OC for Miami, Kansas City, Cleveland, Alabama, and also the Buffalo Bills, where he was a huge part in developing the what? Great quarterback in Josh Allen that is right now competing for MVP. So maybe he would like that task. Not to mention, about 2 months ago, we did have a Patriots former player talking on the podcast talking about how he is potentially all in for bringing back Brian Daboll to be the OC, as Daboll and Jerod Mayo are also really good friends. And the quote that he ended up saying here was that, go get Daboll. I like it. He was my neighbor for years. He was our neighbor. He actually moved into Mayo's house. I used to walk in there and he'd be like, look at my offensive call playbooks. He had a shelf in his dining room. It was lined with playbooks. Dude, I'm all in for it. So it sounds like if Daboll doesn't work out as a head coach, I don't know if he would want to be an OC. Probably not. I mean, that's probably why Vrabel is still unemployed. It's because he's looking for another head coach vacancy right now. But if he does end up wanting to take on a new task and working with Drake Maye, a quarterback that he really liked in the NFL draft and has a great relationship with Jerod Mayo, well, we'll have to wait and see what the offseason looks like. So my last question here for you guys is, I gave you just 3 very minor offensive coordinator replacements. There are still a lot of people out there that could take the job if AVP ends up not keeping it. Which OC would you want next season? Comment it down below, and as always, subscribe.